We're joined live in the studio now by Councillor Brett Watson, who's the incumbent candidate for the Arcata City Council. Brett, welcome to Redwood News.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, Brett, you've had quite a controversial time as councillor. In fact, the council currently has an injunction out against you, which followed a report of misconduct that led to your censure. If you are elected to the council, how will you overcome these hurdles in best to serve the citizens of Arcata?
Sure. You know, I think the most important people for me to always work with are the residents themselves. So, you know, as long as, you know, I continue to have support from the residents and I can continue to advocate for them, you know, I can serve them in that capacity. And, you know, if you watch a lot of the council meetings, you know, 90% of the discussions we have are amicable. We agree on everything. We vote unanimously. You know, all come up with ideas. Other council members like them. So, you know, I think the negative stuff tends to be focused on. And, you know, for the most part, you know, the council does work well together on the vast majority of issues.
Now, part of the role of the council member is obviously working collaboratively, as you're saying, and with your fellow councillors. But how will you attempt to reach agreement when you don't share the views of the other councillors and indeed work with them with the constraints that are currently in place?
Sure. So, as I just said, I actually do share most views with the other council members. So, you know, there's still, you know, there's a court date this Friday at 1:30 where a judge will decide whether or not the city of Arcata has a, you know, any case against me to approve this restraining order. So right now what they've had approved is a temporary restraining order, which I think is, you know, is pretty common. And that's not something I get a chance to rebut. So this Friday, you know, will be my opportunity and the city's opportunity to make our cases. And, you know, we'll see what happens there, and then we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
Now, it's a very important role in our community, obviously, but there have been issues, not just with yourself, but other office holders in recent years. If you're re-elected, how would you avoid falling into any similar negative positions in the future?
Sure. You know, that's a good question. You know, so last August, you know, I did get a DUI, and I've been over 1 year sober since then. I've done a significant amount of recovery programs and, you know, just other things to really improve myself and my behaviors. And, you know, I feel really good about that. And these, you know, basically all this other stuff has come from false allegations by a specific staff member. And it's just really, you know, I think they were really hoping I was just going to quit and give up. And, you know, the city tried really hard to keep all of this a secret from the public for a long time. It was me that brought it forward in a council meeting. So, you know, we just have to let it play out and see what's going to happen. And, you know, other than that, I don't anticipate, you know, these same problems happening again.
Well, now you do say they're false allegations, but I think we do need to say for the viewers that the council has actually upheld the allegations through an external report. So I think we should make that clear.
Yeah, they actually didn't. And if you look at that meeting, they did not uphold them. All they did was approve, you know,
an external report.
Restrictions against me. And I also produced my own report, which completely discounted their investigation.
Now, what are the biggest issues you believe that your constituents face?
Right now, I think on their minds is the Gateway Area Project. The number one concern is the height of the buildings. You know, there's been a push by some council members, some people in the community, our staff, to build the buildings as tall as possible, up to 8 stories. And from all the feedback I've seen, surveys I've ever seen of voters, you know, direct communication with voters, they don't want anything taller than 4 stories, which is our current building height in Arcata.
Now, we don't have very much time left, actually, but if anything, what would you like to share about your personal background and interests that you think voters would help persuade them to vote for you next week?
Sure. No, I mean, I'm really dedicated to the city of Arcata and its residents. You know, I've always been available throughout my 5 years. I've been involved in some of the biggest issues in the city, from the tragic murder of David Josiah Lawson to the McKinley statue debate. And, you know, I just really want to continue bring that experience and bring the people's voice to the council meetings, which I think is missing more often than we like.
And where can people get more information very quickly?
BrettWatson.org.
And that's on our screen. Thank you so much, Brett. Really appreciate you coming into Redwood News. Really nice to meet you. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Great.